Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and certainly one of my favorite times of the show, Rigs and Techniques with you, Dave. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about redfish in deeper water, something other than 24 inches up on the grass flats.
Right, they're not always up on the flats, you know, ready to gobble up your topwater lures. You know, they don't have that underslung mouth for nothing. You know, they spend a lot of time near the bottom, and if you're in deeper water, they're going to be close to the bottom a lot. As a matter of fact, when I grew up over at Satellite Beach, we called them channel bass.
Right.
Because, you know, they were in the channels, and that's how we caught them in the deep water. We'd, you know, throw a chunk of something out there and have it blow up my Zebco 808 as it ran away. I couldn't stop them with those things. So anyway, but we're going to talk a little bit about what kind of lures and stuff that you want to use, and also some baits later on.
Well, certainly, you know, if we're going to talk about topwater fishing, you know, which is shallow, there's any walk the dog, Jay Walker, or the Berkeley stick shad would be great choices in that shallow water. But really what I want to focus on tonight, Dave, is I want to focus on a fish that's in 24 inches or deeper. Even a fish that's on a jetty or in an inlet like you have in Sebastian Inlet, or Pat Deneen has it up there in Patty's Place. So there's a variety of different ways to fish. So let's start by talking about fishing for them with artificials first.
Okay.
So you got Artemis shad, which Bass Assassin makes. Bigger profile is really important. You can throw this with a variety. This is the Eagle Claw boxer jig. You know, certainly Bass Assassin makes her own jig heads as well. But one of the things that's come down the pipe recently is using, instead of a spoon, what you're able to do is a 1/2 ounce slobber knocker. And what the slobber knocker does is it allows you to fish it either with a skirt or without a skirt, but it allows you to reel it really slow. So you get that vibration of a search lure, but you are able to fish it much deeper. You can fish it 4 feet of water, 6 feet of water. You can throw it into channel creeks up there where Tommy Boy lives. You know, and that tide's fall, and those fish are all vacating the grass flats, and then they're dumping into the creeks. This is a great...
And a lot of those spawning fish, you know, they spawn in those inlets. They gather up, and they're bigger fish too.
That's correct.
So the bigger baits are going to get their attention a lot more.
That's correct. So you can make your profiles much larger. You can use a Pro Elite jig head and a 5-inch swim bait. This is the Die Dapper, works very, very well. Then you have all the scented plastics that Gulp makes. They've got the new Nemesis, if you'll open that for me, and the new Turbo shad. They are certainly a different profile, and they can go on any jig head. But from time to time, Dave, these baits, you know, need some significant weight put in their face. But this is
especially
a curly
in a tide
tail
area.
Yeah, so this is a curly tail. It's impregnated with all its scented, you know, stuff that they have. Yeah, the good old Gulp.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, sometimes you just got to go. Those fish that maybe are on the flats in the low tide, they may graduate to the trees like in Punta Gorda, or they could graduate to the rocks on a jetty someplace. So at that point, we're going to start fishing bait. We can fish cut bait, like a piece of cut ladyfish. We would fish it on this Eagle Claw Jupiter rig that they make. It comes with a, you know, a circle hook or a live bait hook. In our case, the one I like is the one with the circle hook. And this works really well because you can throw it in the Sebastian Inlet. You can throw it in the Destin underneath the bridge when those fish are there. The Mayport jetties, the jetties in Fernandina. There's a variety of different places.
Yeah, any place where you got a nice current flowing and you want to your bait to stay relatively close to the bottom, the Jupiter rig is hard to beat.
That's correct. And what you're going to do is you're going to bait this either with a live pinfish. You can bait it with a chunk of dead mullet, a chunk of ladyfish, depending on where you are. But what this does is it allows you to throw it up under there and let it sit on the bottom.
Right. And another good hook is also as a inshore kale hook, like this Trocar kale hook. They have, if you're using a big chunk of bait, that extra wide gap of the kale hook allows that fish to get to the hook. You know, because if you're using just a regular, sometimes a circle hook or even a live bait hook, regular J hook, when you put a big chunk of bait on there, that big chunk of bait kind of impedes the fish's ability to get that hook into the, the hook to get into the fish.
The other thing that I like to do also, Dave, is I like to use my trolling motor and go up and down the jetty. Most of the time I start somewhere near the tip of the jetty because fish will come around the jetty from the outside and the inside, and then I'll use these Berkeley dredgers. These are 20 and 30 foot deep crankbaits. Now remember this, guys, when you're using these crankbaits, I want you to hit a rock with it, because when it hits the rock, it disturbs the vibration. When it deflects, that's when you're going to get the bite.
Yeah, any lure that you're using in Sebastian Inlet, if you're not losing a bunch of them, you're not fishing them right.
Well, the cool
you're
part
wanting
about
to be hitting the bottom.
But a cool part about this is swims like this, so it's going to hit, and the hooks are behind it and doesn't get hooked in there.
And it's a good thing also, if you're using something else or any other one, if you're losing a lot of them, take that front hook off.
Okay.
And just leave the back one on there, and you won't lose as many.
All right. That went way too fast.
It did. And Dave, you get participation points today. I'm so proud of you over there. That was some good stuff.